Hey, I'm consciously incompetent. The White House was summited today. Let's talk about it. So the crypto summit happened today at the White House. All the who's who, as Trump said, there was a ton of IQ in the room. Fair enough. In this video, we're going to cover what was the White House Crypto Summit. What are these crypto digital assets versus your traditional meme coins? And scalability and transaction times. What does that look like and feel like? We're going to talk about security threats, opportunities related to emerging technologies, and ISO20022. What even is that? So remember, I'm consciously incompetent. I'm just a guy on the internet. This is not investment advice. Do your own research. Only invest what you can afford to lose. There are Nazare-sized waves in the space, so don't bet the house or get into debt investing in this space. As Uncle Warren Buffett would say, be greedy when others are fearful. Be fearful when others are greedy. So what's the deal with the crypto summit? They discussed a couple things. So they discussed regulatory clarity for cryptocurrencies, and we'll talk about the differences between investing in Beanie Babies versus Microsoft. As an example, they propose crypto taxation policies. One of the things they're talking about, there's a rumor, is that there could be no capital gains on American-based crypto held for longer than a year, and we can chat about that. I used to think this was crazy that they would not charge capital gains on that, but the Trump administration is saying no tax on tips. They're talking about reducing the amount of income tax on overtime, which are fascinating outside the box type thinking. So could be. We'll wait and see. It'll be interesting to see if they do that. So if they were to do that, it would be super helpful because if there was no capital gains on cryptocurrency for longer than a year, held for longer than a year, what it would do is it would de-incentivize somebody to panic sell because it would trigger a taxable event. So if it does come to pass that there's going to be no tax on US-based crypto assets held for longer than a year, that's a lot, say that 3 times fast, that could be a great market stabilizer. So that'll be interesting to see if they go that route or what comes about of it. So the composition of the U.S. Crypto Strategic Reserve. So they're heavily focusing on Bitcoin, probably led by Mr. Michael Saylor. So we'll see how that goes. But currently they're focusing on Bitcoin. There are supposed to be some other crypto assets coming forward down the pipe. XRP, Solana, and Cardano, and Ethereum would be the big ones. But we'll see how that plays out. And the other thing to note that's in the executive order is that they're not buying new Bitcoin. This executive order enables them so far to be able to utilize the Bitcoin that has been obtained through illicit activities, or essentially like whenever the FBI or CIA raided a drug dealer and they took all their crypto and then they didn't know what to do with it. Well, now the US government is officially saying, hey, we're going to count that as being on our books as an official asset of the United States government. So is this a scam? What are taxpayers paying for? So in the executive order, it says, and I quote, the Secretary of the Treasury and the Secretary of Commerce shall develop strategies for acquiring additional governmental Bitcoin, provided that such strategies are budget neutral and do not impose incremental costs on United States taxpayers, unquote. So what that means is that they're intending to think outside the box and be able to acquire additional Bitcoin and apparently some other, again, XRP, Solana, and Cardano, and Ethereum potentially in the future, potentially, allegedly, throwing all the possibility statements right there because so far it's only Bitcoin. But that's apparently what's coming down the pipe there. But they are looking at those utility-based coins to be able to shore up the financial markets and shore up their financial banking system as compared to other countries. Now, what are they? So, what is Bitcoin, XRP, Solana, Cardano, Ethereum? What's the big deal? How do they differ from meme coins? So, the best way to describe it, if you think about the email system, you can email with various different carriers. You could use Hotmail, Outlook, Gmail, whatever. There's an underlying technology that was created that enables that to occur. So if you think about it's not called DARPA, but it was originally called ARPA, and they were the ones who created the technology to be able to send information to and from computers and be able to send messaging. So XRP, Solana, Cardano, and Ethereum are far more like the underlying rails of, like, if you think about a railroad, that boxcars of information could pass across. So XRP is the rails, and everything else is utilizing the rails to conduct their transactions. Hope that makes sense. And the difference between those digital assets, like XRP is now been reported by the SEC to not be a security. It's actually been labeled as a digital asset, like it's an actual commodity. So again, not trading advice, but it's a different asset. And the best way to describe that is, I did a little bit of homework. Here we go. But Beanie Babies in 1996. You could take your money to the store. If you had a couple dollars, you could buy a Beanie Baby for $5. At the same time, in 1996, at the end of December, a share of Microsoft would cost you $6.34. So you could invest your money in a Beanie Baby, or you could invest your money in a Microsoft share. Roughly the same price, but you could argue that one solves a lot more problems for a lot more people, so therefore it's a lot more valuable, I would say. So the current share price today, as of March 7th, 2025, was $3.91.37. So if you had invested in 1996 in that share of Microsoft, you would have seen a 61x, or 6,173% return. There were also a lot of weird, it was the .com bubble. There was a lot of weird tech stocks in that time period too. So even if you wanted to compare like tech stocks to each other, there was Microsoft, and then there was other like just .com bubble stocks. And it was important. It's very similar to the crypto market today. There's these meme coins which sound the same as the utility coins, but they're not. They're just a pure store of value, no different than a Beanie Baby. A Beanie Baby is simply a store of value that either, I mean, hey, in my best case scenario, somebody gets to have a great childhood with it, and it has a lifetime of memories. Awesome, very cool. But people were buying them as a store of value, expecting them to go up in price. That's no different than a meme coin like Hawk2a. Everybody knows the Hawk2a coin. Like even the Trump and Melania coins are meme coins. They're simply Beanie Babies that you can buy, and you're hoping they're going to go up, but they could crash tomorrow. There's no actual use case to them other than being a great store of value. Now, I'm going to upset some folks, but Bitcoin is probably the king of the meme coins, because Bitcoin is actually, relative to XRP, relative to even Ethereum, it's quite slow. You can The XRP is 1,000 times quicker, 1,000 times more scalable. It's 1,000 times more useful to the financial banking system because you can send more money along it. It can process more transactions quickly. It can process more transactions simultaneously. It's a better technology overall. Bitcoin is the king of being a storage of value. It is a really expensive beanie baby. It's the beanie baby that took off. So why now? So the reason why the banking sector especially and a lot of big corporations, like they recognize that they need to do something, is because in the age of artificial intelligence, in the age of artificial intelligence agents, in the age of quantum computing, they're quite frankly, the SWIFT payment system and the computer systems that process payments around the world, they're just antiquated. They're old, and they're sometimes 50 years old. I mean, and so the methods through which banks communicate bank to bank internationally, especially if it's a third world country, or if it's different areas around the world that maybe they don't have access to the same types of hardcore banking systems that they would do in Singapore, Shanghai, London, New York, etc. Like they might not have the greatest technology to speak. They are very vulnerable to being hacked. They're very vulnerable to attacks. There's huge software infrastructure issues that need to be very quickly dealt with, or else the global financial system is very, very vulnerable at the moment, especially in the age of AI and quantum computing. They need to update their passwords to quantum safe passwords. The other thing too is that in the age of AI, the opportunity, so there's the threat side, but the opportunity side is that now very quickly you're having technology get quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker, which means that it's able to send information at light speed to each other, which means that it needs to send payments back and forth to each other. And right now, like I had to do a wire transfer a couple weeks ago, and my bank, when I went to do the wire transfer, my bank informed me that I would have to go into the branch to complete the wire transfer. So, it's a bit of a pain in the arse to have to go all the way down to the branch to do this transaction. And then the banker's kind of scrutinizing it for a bit and asking questions. I'm like, no, it's legit. Everything's good. Here's the routing number. Here's everything. And they're like, oh, all right. they're kind of treating you like, okay, we'll allow this. And it was my money. I can transfer it however I want. And they were trying to put restrictions on it because I wanted to invest in cryptocurrency. And they didn't like it, quite frankly. So it was an interesting, eye-opening experience. That process of transferring the funds to the crypto exchange took 4 days. And typically it takes 3 to 5 days. It took 4 days, and that is a long period of time. That's about to be a very long period of time. Bitcoin can do the same transaction in 10 minutes. XRP can do the same transaction in 10 seconds. So the world is about to get a lot quicker. The other thing is that governments want to expand. Like governments are wanting to go to space. If they want to send money, sending money from one country to another country can take 3 to 5 days right now. If you wanted to send money to Mars, how long would that take you? How would you even achieve that? That's requiring the new banking system to be able to fund mining colonies and all of these different operations all over the place. And so as they're looking at emerging technologies, this is part of that stepping stone process. Now, scalability. So Michael Saylor estimates that the total tokenizable global market is worth an estimated $900 trillion. So what that means, In the background, there's called real tokenized assets. So they are looking like the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the European Union, certainly the Federal Reserve, J.P. Morgan, MasterCard. I believe MasterCard last year, 40% of its payments were tokenized. I believe that's what the report said. And what that means is that in the future, they want to take your mortgage payment, they want to take your insurance payment, they want to take your house, like the value, like what you have in your house, the value of what you have in your cars, the value of what you have in jewelry, in your clothing, in your pets, in your everything. Everything you own, they want to be able to account for that on a general ledger system. And so that part of the process is going to be like converting the value of everything you own into a tokenizable asset, and the total estimated value of that right now is 900 trillion around the world. And on top of that, you have the payments. So again, insurance companies, banking companies, large corporations, any governments, any type of large scale entity that needs to change or transfer or convert or send money payments all over the world all the time, the total global payments in 2023 were estimated were 1.8 quadrillion dollars. And it's probably, especially with inflation, risen since then. So what that means is that while Bitcoin's cool, Bitcoin is a little bit slow. Again, Bitcoin maxis are going to hate me for saying all this, but Bitcoin's a tad bit slow compared to some of the other cryptos out there. There's XRP, there's even some other emerging coins out there too. But suffice to say that if you want to do large scale, scalable transactions, having many payments per second be able to go across the system, you need to have liquidity in the market. You need to have cash on hand to be able to take from this country and be able to fill that currency over here on the other country, or between bank to bank, or however they're needing to do it. There needs to be liquidity in the system. So the higher the price for XRP as an example, the more liquidity that is in the system, which means the more transactions they are able to handle overall. So it's been speculated, not investment advice, just speculation. It's been speculated that when XRP reaches the point when 150 billion in payments are regularly handled by their network, that XRP will have a value of $10. So, conservatively, if XRP was to grow and the global banking system was to continue trending the way it seems to be, it's conceivable in years to come, that XRP would be handling around $1.8 quadrillion. Inflation, that the total payment system would be larger, but it's conceivable that they'd be able to handle $1.8 quadrillion, which would mean that their price to handle that level of liquidity would be around $120 each. Not investment advice, though, but there's certainly, it looks like there are greener pastures on the horizon. This would, I talked about a bunch of stuff in my notes here, but it would help banks with their Nostra Vostra accounts and being able to transfer funds in between the banks. Again, not investment advice, but it is speculated that Grayscale and other financial institutions are applying for XRP and Bitcoin ETFs. Something to definitely look at in the near future here. Brazil just announced that there's an application for an XRP ETF on the horizon, and it sounds like other countries are very near to starting to explore ETFs for XRP as well. The Japanese banking system just reported that 80% of Japanese banks are going to be using XRP to facilitate transactions by the end of this year. JP Morgan, behind the scenes, has reported they've been using XRP internally to facilitate transactions. And it's been reported that the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, Bank of International Settlements, they're all looking, the European Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, they're looking at using these emerging technologies to be able to issue central bank digital currencies using technology like what Ripple, Cardano, Solana, Ethereum can provide to the marketplace. And so, for example, if you're the Bank of England, if you're the Federal Reserve, if you're the World Bank, if you wanted to issue a central bank digital currency, you would require XRP as the rails so you could transfer that central bank digital currency in boxcars along those rails. I hope that makes sense. Lastly, let's talk about ISO20022. So the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank are very quickly going to be requiring banks to switch over to ISO20022. It was scheduled for March 10th, MAR 10, sometimes you call it Mario Day. March 10th has been pushed back to July 14th, 2025, just to allow the banks more time. Anytime you're updating payment systems and all that stuff, I've never seen a giant corporation update any type of payment system and have it go smoothly right overnight. So this is just to allow the banks and big institutions more time to be able to get those processes set up and in place. But why is this significant? So that ISO 20022 is the new communication standard. So if Bank A wants to send money from Nigeria over to Bank B in the United States, right now the United States Bank might or might not know the bank in Nigeria. And so when the two of them are doing a transaction in cyberspace, the technology is trying to figure out, is this a legitimate transaction? How do we process this transaction? What's the difference in the currency fluctuations between the two and how much time has passed? And so it's trying to figure that all out and make sure that this is a real transaction from a real institution from another part of the world. And if those two banks don't have a very formal relationship, that can take some time, especially if it's a weird amount or whatever. So, or a larger amount for sure. So, having XRP and having these different digital assets as part of this new banking system, what that allows these two banks to do is to have very secure lines of communication. And it allows them to be able to decipher very quickly that both of them are a secure source, both of them are verified, and therefore this transaction is legitimate, it should occur. And it also reduces the time required. So instead of having 3 to 5 days where the currency from Bank A, by the time it gets over to Bank B, it could have been 3 to 5 days, the currencies could have changed a couple of dollars. Whereas now, if it happens within 10 minutes or 10 seconds, the amount of currency fluctuation between the two is lessened, to say the least. And now that those funds are available for that institution or for that bank or for that customer to be able to utilize right away. So you can see how banks would be incentivized to go to this new system as well, because their customers and the marketplace is going to require that this be the service level that banks are going to be able to offer in the future. So that's all I got. I'm consciously incompetent. Bye-bye.